Hi everyone, it's Monique at Butterbee Scraps, and I'm here to start my charm tutorial series. There'll probably be 2 or 3 videos on this. So this first video, I'm just going to go over the materials and tools that are necessary for making charms. So the first being beads, obvious choice, and I always buy glass beads. I highly recommend you stay away from the plastic beads. Definitely look much lower quality. You'll find that quite often there's little flaws in the beads, little bubbles. Also, a lot of times the plastic beads, the color is just put on the surface, and over time that color will wear and chip off. And lastly, glass beads just glitter and sparkle so much more, and provide a much nicer looking charm. So these are some examples of some glass beads. So you can get them in all different shapes, sizes. You know, here's a larger glass bead. Got some square ones here. You know, little pink ones. So anyway, glass beads, a must-have for anybody making charms. They also make glass pearls, and that's I buy these from Walmart. You can get a big bin. They have like 4 or 5 different colors in them for $10, so they're not that expensive, and you get like hundreds of these pearl beads. So this definitely another staple. If you're just starting out, I'll make sure to highlight must-haves versus optionals, because I know it can get very, very expensive when you're just starting out. So glass beads are a must-have. The glass pearls are also a must-have. Another must-have, in my opinion, are some Swarovski crystals, and I just stock my bins with 4mm and 6mm diameter Swarovski crystals, clear crystals. You can get them in all different shapes, or not necessarily shapes, but definitely different sizes and colors. I stick with the clear in just the 2 sizes. So those are 3 must-haves for beads. Other types of beads that you can stock up on that also provide nice looking charms and add kind of a different look and flavor are stone. So here's a couple different kinds of stone beads. You can get them a little bit larger. They actually look like polished rocks. And also shell beads. Shell beads are another good choice. I also have a few clay beads in my stock. Not very many, but a few. And this one is much larger. If you watched one of my previous charm swaps, you'll see that I used one like this, but it was orange. And last but not least, metal beads are always a great choice as well. So you can get all different shapes, sizes, designs, different colors. You can get, you know, brass, copper, silver. So another good choice. So number 1 material, beads. And so the next thing, findings are also a must. I find when you just stack several beads one on top of the other, I mean, they create beautiful charms, but there's nothing that creates a nicer charm than just separating those beads with metal spacers and stuff like that. So in my arsenal of findings, a must-have, crimping beads. And I don't use these to crimp. I use these little guys kind of at the top or bottom of charms, or sometimes to space smaller beads out. So those are must-have for a starter. Also, another must-have are daisy spacers, and I would recommend the 5mm and 6mm spacer or daisy spacer beads if you're just starting out. And that's all the findings that I would recommend for a beginner. Now, other things that I'm sure you've all seen in the store that are also nice to have in your collection are head pins. These little guys look like just a pin with a little I don't know if you can see that very well, with a little head on them. They just look like regular sewing pins. And actually, these guys you can get with just the flat heads. You can also get some with a little round bead on the end. And you can get some that are a lot more decorative, like this one. Sorry, I don't know if that's focusing very well. So head pins are definitely optional. Another optional item, eye pins. So they're like the head pins, only they have a little loop on the end. And another item that I have in my stash are bead caps. And these just go over the ends of beads. And you can get them, I've got several different sizes and colors and stuff like that. So that's it for the findings. Last, actually not last, another essential is wire. And I have, you know, bronze, silver, copper. I have in a variety of sizes. For making charms, I would recommend having two sizes, the 20 gauge and 22 gauge. If you're just starting out, I would say just stick with the 22 gauge because it's the higher the number, the thinner the wire, and the easier it is to work with. And I would definitely go with the artistic or soft wire. Now the last item, tools. It is very, very important to have a set of really good quality tools. The first item that I would recommend are some nylon jaw pliers. So these have nylon jaws, and all I use those for is for straightening your wire after it's cut. Next set of must-haves are chain nose pliers. Chain nose pliers, they look kind of like needle nose pliers. There's the standard and also the bent nose, and I would recommend actually having both in your collection. The last must-have are round nose pliers, and if you look at, I'm not sure how well this is picking up, these are actually round, but the tips are conical, so you can make whatever size loop you want with those. So that's a definite must-have. A nice to have are these. They're round nose pliers, but they're like a step jaw plier. And so basically they have 3 different sizes of round nose pliers, and if you're not very good at making consistent size loops, these are great to have. So that's another must-have. Now you're saying, well, how do I cut the wire, right? Yeah, I left cutters last because I need to talk a little bit about cutters. A lot of kits that you get will include standard wire cutters, and that's these guys here. And I don't know if you can see that, but there's a bevel on both sides of the pliers. And I actually did a diagram here. Standard wire cutters. So the profile of the jaw, if you're looking at the end here, is this. Okay? And when you cut the wire, what you get is a line on both ends of the wire. That can be sharp, that can poke, and it also doesn't look very finished off. So, you may have a standard set of cutters in your arsenal, but I highly recommend flush cutters. And I have yet to find a good pair of flush cutters, and these guys are disposable. You'll go through them like crazy. So flush cutters are really, really flat. Completely flat on the one side and beveled on the other. So they look more like this. So if you're looking at the ends like this, you got one flat side beveled on the other. And what this does is when you cut your wire, you get one with the point, the sharp point, and the other one is completely flush, square to the end of the wire, and is not sharp. Gives a much nicer finish. So a good pair of flush cutters, or maybe a couple pair, you definitely have to have. You have to be careful when you're buying flush cutters though. I went to a beading store and I bought this pair of flush cutters. Of course they're packaged like this, and they look like great, good quality. You know, the hinge is good. A lot of times with these types of pliers, you can tell this is a cheaper pair just by the rivet, and when you squish them together, sometimes the jaws, rather than coming straight together, will kind of offset like this a little bit, and yeah, not a great cut. Anyway, so I thought, okay, this has a really nice joint here, but you know what? These are imposters, because when I open the package, and a lot of times these packages are resealable, so open them up in the store and have a look. There is just a slight filing on this side. It is not completely flat, and I don't know if you can see, there's a bit of a shadow on the line there. That's because these guys are imposters. They have a slight filing on this side, and you don't get a completely square cut, so you'll be disappointed. Anyway, I am. So for beginners, let's just go through the materials that I would definitely suggest as a must-have. Glass beads, including the pearls, glass pearls, and the 4mm and 6mm Swarovski crystals. Those are definite must-haves. Optional if you're just starting out, I would add a few stone ones in there. Metal findings, must-haves are crimping beads, these guys, and 5mm and 6mm diameter daisy spacers, and of course 22 gauge wire. Those are must-haves. Tools, I think almost all of them are must-haves. The nylon jaw are must-haves. The standard chain nose and the bent chain nose pliers are must-haves. The round nose pliers are must-haves, and so are the flush cutters. Optional are the steps. So yeah, tools, these guys are the most important thing to have to create nice, good quality charms. So anyways, I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I will make a second video and we'll go over how you put all this stuff together to make beautiful charms. Thanks, and have a great day.